Chuck and Hustle, Trent Griffin, take one. I thought you was ready for this job.
Truck and Hustle, Trent Griffin, take one, action.
Turn my mic up. Take there. Yeah. On the road to the riches. Life takes a toll like bridges. Good friends become foes and snitches. Better watch who knows in your business.
All right, let's get it, y'all. Let's get it. Hustle fam. We are back with another amazing episode. And we are here live on location at Tech Valley Shuttle with the CEO, my brother Trent Griffin-Braaf. What's up, my brother?
How you doing, bro?
Man, good to see you again. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So listen, man, this is my brother right here. He's doing some amazing things up here in the upstate Albany area. He has Tech Valley Shuttle, which is a shuttle company. We're going to get into all the specifics of that. And he also has GB Logistics. So, man, first of all, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Appreciate it.
Nice to be here, man. Thank you for inviting me.
That's a fact. Thanks for taking the trip upstate. You
No
know,
doubt.
especially this frigid January day. So definitely appreciate
It's
it.
a little cold, but it's all good. So listen, man. Let's get into the story, what we have going on here to kind of start off. Let's talk about it, man. Where you from? Let's kind of get into the beginning and everything.
Let's do it. So I'm originally from the Bronx. I was in between the Bronx and Manhattan. My father's Manhattan. My mom was in the Bronx. Lived down there for about 9 years. Lived in Tracy Towers. Ended up after that, my father passed away when I was around 9, and then that's when we moved upstate New York because that's where my mother was originally from. That's where all her family is. So came from upstate, and at that time, you know, it was definitely a culture shock coming up here from New York. I was used to I was a bad kid, so I was like running the streets at a young age between Brooklyn and with my godbrother Sean and hanging out there. And then I came up here and it was just like grandma wasn't having it. You know, I'm around my aunties and you know, it was definitely a culture shock. Slowed everything down for me.
Right. So this is 9 years old, right?
9 years old, yeah.
You come to Albany, New York.
Yep.
So tell me about the culture. What's the difference? I mean, obviously, I know what it's like in the Bronx, but what's it like out here in Albany?
At that time, it was definitely. It felt a little. It felt like everything was slower than New York, like a little bit behind. But now that I really sit back and I think about it, it was kind of the reverse of that, though. Like up here, you seen a lot more interracial dating. I think up here was the first time I seen mulatto kids. Like so.
So you're saying it was more like progressive up here?
In a lot of ways, it was. Economy-wise, it was definitely slower. In terms of, you know, just what was going on in the area is a lot slower. But it was a little bit more progressive in those regards.
Okay, got you. So you're young. What do you do, man? What are you doing as a kid? What's your lifestyle like?
Balling. All I do is play basketball. Like I'm in grandma's backyard every single day playing basketball. At the parks. You know, my life consists of basketball. That was my escape. I think dealing with the trauma of losing my father, basketball always was a space where when I'm doing that, I'm not thinking about anything other than basketball.
Right.
And so that was like my safe space. I would dedicate school and basketball. That was it.
And any brothers, sisters?
My little brother, half brother, but you know, that's my brother. But unfortunately, he was still in the city and then he eventually moved to North Carolina. So, you know, we would still see each other talk, see each other once in a while, whenever we could, but we would still talk. And but to this day, we're close as nail.
Got you. So you played ball in high school?
Played ball in high school.
What high
played
school?
ball in middle school.
What high school you go to?
Schenectady High, which is Schenectady, New York, a little town. But the basketball during that time in Schenectady was very competitive. Everyone could ball. A lot of D1, a lot of people ended up playing professional ball. I'm only 5'8", so, back then you had to be big.
Right.
I could shoot. So I realized quickly after high school, the NBA was not going to be my destiny. That was probably the first skill set that I really worked very hard at. And to be able to play on state championship teams, varsity basketball, all of those things with that much competition, that was almost like the first seed of me seeing what hard work really looks like, and then also the benefits of hard work.
Got you. All right, so you played ball in high school. What happens next? Tell me.
So after high school, I go to college for a semester. And honestly, high school, I kind of got pushed through because I was playing ball. I didn't take it as serious as I really should have. I actually thought it was cool because I played ball that they would push me through, that I could kind of joke around and be a jokester. And that's when I was really focused on girls too at that point. So,
Right.
I'm doing that. And they kind of pushed me through, man. And so when I graduate from summer school, barely passing. And I go to a JUCO in Morrisville, which is, if I thought this was nowhere, that was in the middle of nowhere.
Got you.
And I go there, I fill out my first semester, come back home, and, at that point, I need to get money.
All right, Hustle fam, listen, y'all. I am here live on location at OTR Capital. Happy to announce our new strategic partnership with OTR Capital. I'm here with Grace Marr. My friend, how are you, Grace?
Awesome. It's so good to have you here.
When we align with somebody, align with a brand, we wanted to make sure that we had the right people standing behind us and that could help our community and kind of take them further along in their journey, because we can only bring them so far, right? We need to create those strategic partnerships to take them to the next level. And that's what I think that this relationship and this partnership is going to do. Grace, tell the people a little bit about OTR and what you guys do.
Yeah, thanks, Ramel. So we are a factoring company. We've been doing this for 10 years. We're dedicated to trucking companies' success and offering tools and services to help them to continue to succeed. Education is so important to us for our clients and helping them continue to grow their business. I know we have similar missions. We really do care about trucking companies, and we're both from a trucking background. OTR isn't a financial services company coming off of a bank. We're based out of transportation and third-party logistics company, and you yourself, ran trucking and had a CDL. So
Yep.
It's like, for us, it's amazing to be able to come together in this way.
The culture here is awesome. I love working with you guys. I love the people here. And it's great, man. I think we could do some beautiful things together, create epic content, add epic value. And I'm really excited and looking forward to doing this with you guys. I mean, it took me a long time to really, partner with someone in this way. And I decided to do it with you guys because I feel that you're the right company to add value to our audience.
We completely agree. We're super excited, thrilled to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Truck and Hustle OTR, we're now together. We're locked in. Hustle fam, we love y'all. If you smell something burning, it's only your desire.
And, at that point, I need to get money. And so I start running the streets, hanging around some of the wrong crowds, doing the wrong things. I end up catching a 4 to 12-year prison sentence, drug related, first time offense. And so I go up north. I ended up doing 3.5 years out of the 4 to 12. But during my 3 years, I ended up taking college courses through Mayor's College. Once again, while I was incarcerated, basketball was again my saving grace. Played a lot of ball, working out in college. But that was the first time in my adult life now that I actually really took school seriously in education, and I ended up being the top of the class. That was for those incarcerated as well as those who were actually on the campus.
Right.
And that was like my first time saying, you know what, maybe I am a little smart. And if I do apply myself, looking at what I've done in basketball, now what I'm doing with school, if I apply myself, whatever I seem to touch, I turn it into gold. So maybe I need to start to identify what I can do outside that is productive, but also legal. You know?
Yeah, I feel you. So what age were you when you first?
So I go in at 19. I come home at 23.
You go in at 19, come home at 23, and you said you went to school during that time.
Yep.
And you said that was your first time you really got to see that you had you were smart. You know what I'm saying? You had some other skills or whatever the case may be. All right. So when you come home, talk to me about that journey. So
coming home, like most people, I get my wife pregnant right away.
Hey, is that too loud? It's good? Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, right.
She said, coming home and get my wife
got her pregnant right away.
Right.
So that was one barrier. The other barrier I'm facing now is my parole officer won't let me drive. So I'm taking a bus or I'm relying on family to get to a temp agency because I can't get a job. And so those were like some no employment, no vehicle. Well, I did have employment, but it's a temp agency. You're not taken too seriously. You're not making too much money. I really had to humble myself and really just, say, you got to stick with it. And
right.
So I do that for a while. But if I'm going to be in full transparency, I got off my dean. And so I started to run around with some of the same people I was previously. And I get right back in the game a little bit. And that leads to me almost being reincarcerated. So coming home from the city, we got a brick in the car, me and my co-D at the time, and we get pulled over, state trooper, search the car, find it, whatever. They're trying to give me like 12, 13 years. Long story short, we beat it at the Wade here and they suppressed the evidence, so they can't hold it against us. After that, I stayed in there for 6 months. I missed the birth of my first daughter, Tati, and then that was those 6 months were harder than the years I did in prison previous to that. That was when I said, nah, I could not do this again. There's no way I'm gonna miss another moment of my daughter's life if I get an opportunity. And when they suppressed it, that's when I said, I'm never looking back. And so I had a total shift. I said, I know there's money out here, but more important than the money, now I need to be here for my family. And so that's when I completely humbled myself. I removed myself from everybody outside of my girlfriend, who's my wife now, my mother, and my daughter. And I put myself in a bubble. I ended up going from a temp agency job to getting a job at a hotel at the Marriott, entry level, driving their shuttle, right. Cleaning their toilets, and I took that small opportunity and I worked my tail off. I started to educate myself on the hotel industry, and within a 4-year period, I went from entry level to general manager running the show.
Okay, dope. So you said you started off with a temp agency job. What were you doing at the temp agency?
It was like a warehouse.
Okay,
doing warehouse like boxing stuff and packaging stuff. It served its purpose in the moment, but I knew for me, I had bigger dreams and I wanted more. And I knew going back to humbling myself, I knew that sometimes you got to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. And so I was willing to say, I don't care how it looks from other people's perspective. I don't care about none of that. I'm focused on my family and what I need to do. So I would go in there and bust my chops. And, I worked hard. And that's when I started to really understand, always put your best foot forward. It doesn't matter if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you don't think this is for you. In every room you step in, you should be the best version of yourself. And that really gave me that kind of grounding.
Yeah, and you were there for about how long at the temp agency?
I did the temp agency, I would say probably a year, close to a good year. Yeah.
Okay, for a year, and then you get a shot at the hotel. Mm-hmm. So how does that opportunity present itself?
As a part-time job at first.
Okay.
It was a part-time opportunity. Now I've been home for about a year. My PO, he's seeing me coming with the checks every time. He allows me to get my license, and that opened up the opportunity for me to get to and from that job. And it started as a part-time gig for a hotel in East Greenbush, which isn't too far from here.
Okay.
did that for about 6 months, and then they told me about a full-time opportunity doing the exact same thing for another Marriott in Albany. So I took that, and then I ran with it, and I was in there. I was killing it. You know, I was the best toilet washer. You know, I got along really good with the customers, and there was a young lady there named Rebecca. She worked the front desk, and she seen something in me before, you know, more so than even I did in that space. And she was just like, Trent, you're really good with the customers. Like, I mean, houseman is cool, but are you interested in ever learning the front desk? And so I was like, yeah. And so she told me, she gave me the drop, like, yo, I'm quitting. I'm moving down to Florida. But I want to teach you this. So then when I put my notice in, I could tell them, hey, I've been working with you and kind of plug you right in. And so that's exactly what we did. I would go there, work with her. She would show me how to answer the phones, how to put the reservations and all of that jazz. She put her notice in. She told them she had been working with me. They said they would give me a shot. I went on to then be front desk. Started to, at that point, set my intentions on wanting to be a manager for the front desk because we had no front desk manager. So I said, I'm going to come in here and be the best front desk person I can. I'm going to say yes to everything. I'm going to learn everything for that opportunity. And that's what I did. And within less than 10 months, I was the front desk manager. Then I became the operations manager, like just kept stepping up. But in that process, the most important thing was I never lost touch of educating myself. I knew education was going to be what got me to where I wanted to go. I knew formal education wasn't necessarily the thing for me. So I would go home and, like I tell everyone, Google could be your best friend. Like, you can learn whatever you want between YouTube, Google, and just searching out and looking for what you want, reading books. And so those were the things I would do. I would learn what hotel lingo was. I would learn, you know, what a P&L report looks like. This is when I was really just starting to educate myself on business as a whole. And so, you know, I once given the opportunity to be a manager, I revved it up. I got the team behind me, and we were in our stride. Like, we was killing it. How
was it making that transition from street life to corporate? And what did you have to do in terms of like your peer group and the people around you to kind of like switch gears and shift?
I think the big thing was I had to separate myself first. And like some of the same, like honestly, I'm like from the mud people. So a lot of those same people, those are still my people to this day. But in that time frame, I had to remove myself because I didn't want to get pulled into whatever they were doing. But in doing so, I was able to now allow them back into my life, but with certain standards and rules that regulate, that they just knew, you know, you can't put me in certain situations that I would have been okay with before. And, you know, this is what I'm doing. I got to be home at a decent hour so I could get up in the morning, you know? Yeah. So, you know, I just came with different rules and regulations, and I stopped really caring about the views and opinions of others. I knew I had goals. I knew there was things that I was focused on. So I didn't allow anything from the outside to really deflect that or interfere with what we had going on. And so I think it definitely came down to humbling myself, though, and also just having a bigger vision.
Got you. So you were able to work yourself up from actually cleaning toilets to where you're actually like managing the operation.
That's right.
Right? Okay. So what happens next?
So after that, I'm the general manager now of hotel in Schenectady. There's a casino coming, Rivers Casino, which is the biggest casino in our area. We're all talking about, I'm sitting on hospitality boards now. I'm starting to really network a little bit, unbeknownst to me. But I'm sitting on the hospitality boards. They're telling us how bad the transportation, we're all in agreement. So that gave birth to Tech Valley Hospitality Shuttle. Okay. My whole thought and premise was I wanted to create a shuttle service that would support the hotel world, because that's the world that I knew from a corporate standpoint.
Okay.
And so I started Tech Valley Shuttle with 6 hotels that said they would use our services. I came up with the blueprint, did the business plan, all of that for the very first time in business. And in 2016, December 15th, I created the LLC for Tech Valley Shuttle, and then we started that.
Okay, so at this time, you know, they said the transportation was terrible. How were people getting transported at the time? Was there transportation, or what was going on?
So there was transportation, but up here, there wasn't any rideshare yet. Rideshare didn't come here until June or July of 2017.
Okay.
So it was regular taxis, yellow taxis, and we know historically the stories around that, right. You know, and so, you know, they're never on time, smoking cigarettes inside the vehicle, like, you know, just all the wild stuff. And so that was the opening. I seen a need in the industry, and I figured I could be that fix. And I knew if I just created something that was reliable, timely, and a good price point, that we had something that we could really circulate with more hotels. So in 2017, we went live February, the same day the casino opened. The phone is ringing crazy. Like, we can't even keep up with the demand. I only have one vehicle at the time. One vehicle, and me and 3 other people on the team at the time, one who's still with us to this day. And we were just out there hustling, man, and running that one vehicle nonstop. And then come June or July of 2017, when rideshare hit, the phone stopped. Like, stopped.
Gotcha.
And so that was the time where I'm still actually in the hotel though, right? And I'm transitioning now. I'm telling them I'm trying to help you guys find my replacement. But I had to take a quick moment and decide, like, hey, Trent, the phone stopped. Like, you got one vehicle, you could, keep the vehicle, you could do whatever. But maybe this is a good time to get out of here, because with rideshare here, this could eliminate all transportation as a whole from the outside looking in. What do I know what the future holds?
Right.
And so I started to then educate myself on rideshare, realizing that they don't focus on groups. And so I said, well, let's transition ourselves to be a transportation company that focus on groups. So for a while there, we were just like most private transportation companies, doing airport stuff, wedding stuff, for groups, corporate outings, things of that nature. We started to kind of put ourselves in that arena, which was a great arena, and it also allowed us to partner with more hotels. We got up to working with over 50 hotels throughout the capital region. And but I also started to really sit on transportation committees, and I started to really see what poverty and transportation, how they go hand in hand. I started to look at the layout of the land and realizing we got food deserts right in our backyard. A food desert being areas which are a mile away from healthy food options, affordable and healthy food options. So I'm like, we have all of this right in our backyards. Historically, transportation hasn't been used to help us get out of poverty, but rather to keep us in poverty. And so I said, I think we have an opportunity here where we can utilize our transportation for the good of the community and be more of a community-based transportation supplier. And so that's when we really pivoted into that space. One of the first services we did was Code Blue Albany. We partnered with the city, Hattis, and they actually transport homeless individuals. It's called Code Blue. Days just like this, when it's below freezing, where we go out and we help homeless people get off the streets and get them in the shelters, which then pivoted and we started, prison was something big on me. I'm starting to look at how the prison transportation layout is, and there is none. And so, I start to dive into that and find out that, recidivism rates reduce, the rate of return to prison reduces with every prison visit someone gets. So if someone gets a visit, the odds of them return reduces by 13%. So if you could get someone, 4 or 5 visits, within the year of them coming home, the likelihood of them returning to jail is just cut in half just by that. Right. So I'm like, man. And then you find out that, people are shipped over 100 miles away on average from where they were actually the scene of the crime. So now you have people in New York City where you don't really need a car. You could rely on public transportation to get around. And now you send this individual all the way up here. How do they get here? Like how, and then you send individuals from here to Rochester. How are we getting there?
Right.
So I started to really set my tensions on doing something to support that. And since nobody was, I came up with a free community prison shuttle where once a month we identify different prison hubs and we bring people to those prisons within our community for absolutely free and get them to and from. And that was a big hit. And then, we started to, now I'm looking at that. Now I'm starting to help individuals in that space. So then I'm starting to realize from my story as well, you know what, Trent, when you came home, you couldn't get a job. They had you working temp agencies. How can I help individuals in that space? So we came up with a Driven to Work program in which we help formerly incarcerated people, individuals or special populations, veterans, or just special populations that get looked over. And we actually helped connect them to higher employment opportunities. Transportation is usually one of the biggest barriers. So we eliminate that barrier by partnering with these bigger corporations who can sponsor these shuttles for their employment, for their employers, employees. And so then we do the transportation. So just starting to find all of these different things. Then we did the food shuttle. We're working on that with one of the biggest colleges right now with Housing Authority, where we can get individuals from housing, actual access to healthy food options, affordable food options. So, really just setting our intention on utilizing transportation as a means of driving people out of poverty instead of keeping people in poverty. That's what Tech Valley stands for now. Those are our values. And it also, from an employee standpoint, I bring individuals in who might not even have a license, or we help them get a Class E license. We help them get their CDLs. And most companies handcuff people. I help you get your CDL. You got to work for me for the next 2 years.
Right.
We not like that. Like, bro, you get your CDL next week and you find a job that's going to pay you $40, $50, $60 an hour, go for it. Like, I did my part by helping you with this opportunity. You did your part by showing up every day. Now go get the bigger bag and keep going.
Yeah.
So, it's none of the handcuffing. It's all about just really trying to elevate and help our people, especially individuals like me who've been incarcerated, and knowing that transportation has a lower entry to get into as a startup.
Correct.
I think, it allows the opportunity to help a lot of dudes and females who might not have had an opportunity or wouldn't have thought as transportation as a means that could really change their lives. And, we're shouting that from the rooftop right now. Like, nah, bro, this is it. This is where it's at. So, that's kind of Tech Valley Shuttle and how we got here and what we're doing to this day. I love it.
All right, got you. So we're going to rewind just a little bit because I want to kind of get into the business of how you got to this point, because you just now talked about a variety of different niches and a variety of things that you guys do, right? So I want to bring it back here, but I want to start from the beginning. So when you started this shuttle company, you were still working at the hotel, correct? So you're still in a management position at the hotel, but you have this idea to start this shuttle company, right?
Yep.
The first question I want to ask is, were you transparent with the hotel owners that you were going to do this? Were you working with that same hotel to transport people? How was that transition? Talk about that.
So definitely worked with the ownership. I wanted to be 100% honest with them, let them know, hey, I'm thinking about starting this. Also, ironically enough, that same family who owned that hotel are connected to the people who own the land for the casino.
Okay.
So strategically, it only made sense to let them know, because I want to do business with the casino as well.
Right. You don't want to burn that bridge.
Correct. And you never want to burn a bridge. You never know when you got to cross it again. So I gave them my word, like, I will be here. I will give you guys 100 like I always have. But once it comes to the point where I have to give my business that more support in what it needs to grow, that'll be the day where I'll let you guys know that I just can't do it anymore. But before we get there, I will help you identify the next person who will take my position. I will get them trained up. I'll do everything in my power to make this as seamless as possible. And to this day, those are my peoples. Like, the Malozzi family, I text them from here and there. They helped us get in the rivers to just have a holiday party. So you never want to burn a bridge. Remember that.
100%. All right. So getting a shuttle company started, because at this point you never had a business before, right? But you see this opportunity.
I sold drugs.
You sold drugs. Yes, true. But yes. So when you get this company started, number one, like, who are you modeling? Who are you seeing that's doing something similar? How do you know what's the first move to make? Tell me about that.
That's a good question. I'm like a sponge, right? So I try to pull from whatever resources I see in are tangible, or if someone's doing something that I feel looks good, like, I want to follow that path. And so with the transportation, there was nothing to follow. That's what's kind of unique about this. There was something called Safe Bus, which started in Winston-Salem some years ago, but that was like the big bus company ran by African Americans, by us, and I think they ran until like the 1970s, but the difference was they were like a city bus line.
Okay.
And so I haven't found anything like us. And so once I'm diving into the space and I'm just sitting here, I'm like, yo, why is nobody doing this? Like, and so I didn't have anyone to mimic in that space. But what I was doing is I was just doing my research, to be more honest than anything. And I was trying to figure out what other forms of transportation. Oh, so find out there's micro transportation. Awesome. So with micro transportation, that allows me to do all of these things that I'm looking to do. Cool. Let's build our services around this new micro transportation and let's perform these services. So it wasn't in that space. I didn't have a lot of things to mimic as I was kind of pivoting the company because it didn't really exist. But I just tried to follow the little things from, bigger companies. Oh, all right, customer service, seeing their reviews. How are they getting more reviews? So from a business standpoint, I was literally following the leader, looking at what the bigger companies were doing, and then figure out how we could implement those sort of things from a business, an operational standpoint. But from the standpoint of what I wanted us to be or where I thought we were heading, I was kind of trailblazing that path.
Got you. So the term you use was micro bus services?
Micro transit.
Micro transit. So what does that mean? Just smaller, transporting a smaller group of people?
Kind of, but really, it is group transportation still, micro transit, but the difference is you can do it anywhere. So like a bus company will have a fixed route. With micro transit transportation, you create that route.
Okay.
Right.
Got you. So do you have to go through any governing bodies to create that route, or is it just solely like you're gonna do it on your own, you figure it out, and
right.
That's how it works?
It works like that, but you need the technology in place to make it all work. And so we had to invest in the technology that almost similar to a ride share where our customers can track the vehicles, they could book their rides. Only difference is everything has to be pre-planned with us in advance. And ultimately they put in their schedule for the next week or two. And then that tells us what time they need to be picked up. Okay. It also is an attendance tracker. So now we could go back to the employer and, for last month, this is how many riders you had. So they can also see the kind of return on investment that they're getting. But it also communicates with the other transportation agencies. So like for up here, it's called CDTA. We have the technology where we could talk to their buses and we could do last mile services in partnership with them. Okay. And things of that nature.
Okay. So you said the only company that you knew about at that time was Safe Bus. That was a traditional bus company. Yep. Like a big bus company. Correct. Right. Okay. But you're going to start a shuttle bus company to where it's like 16 passengers and less?
It varies. Like we got a 40 passenger, 50 passenger, 30 passenger. So, but our sweet spot is typically between 11 and 20 passengers. Okay. That's our sweet spot.
11 and 20. Okay, so let's start there. So your first vehicle that you actually purchased, what size is that?
A Sprinter, 11 passenger Sprinter.
Okay, 11 passenger Sprinter. All right, how did you know to get that? Did you do some research? Tell me about that.
And I just went, like that was my vision to have the service to be able to go to different hotels. Okay. So I knew we needed something that had more capacity. And then the thought was, pick up 3 here, 4 here, 3 here, 2 here, then we go to the airport. Gotcha. So I knew I needed more capacity. But then as I have that, then I start to realize, well, right before rideshare came, we invested in a minivan because then it was, we're picking up 1 or 2 people. So we don't need this big old Sprinter to go do that. That could be doing other stuff. And so that's how we started to honestly diverse our fleet early on. We have small economy cars, that we only put 2 passengers in, all the way up to, like I said, 50 passengers. Right. And so our whole thing is we could grow with you. We have the right size vehicle to fit your group or individual needs. And it really allows us to, when we talk to our the companies, the organizations we partner with, it allows us to really grow the service because it's always comes down to the bottom line for them. Yeah. And so in ROI. And so for us to be able to say, hey, look, let's do a little pilot program. Let's start it off with a little vehicle that you could start with just as little as 2 people. And then, in 2 weeks time, let's get you in the minivan. Then let's walk you up to the Sprinter and let's go to a shuttle bus. So it allows the diversity to really meet any company or organization's needs. Okay. So how much did the first Sprinter van cost you? Do you remember? Was it a new van? Nah, it was used. Used? I'm frugal, back to frugal. So it was probably like 20,000. Okay, around there. About 20. You finance it? Yeah. Okay, so you got a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, and what do you do with this Sprinter? First day out, you have the Sprinter. What logistically? Who are you picking up? Talk to me about that. Day one, I didn't know what. We was trying to figure it out. Okay. So the very first gig I got was a college group, though, a party, shuttling them from, the college to a party.
How'd you get that gig?
Word of mouth. It was at that time, like there was another dude up here, but there was only 2 black people who had bigger vehicles that could do that.
Okay,
and
that could support it. Okay.
Right. So it was kind of more so just word of mouth. Like, yo, I know this dude, he got a Sprinter. Like, he's giving a good deal if you want to use it. So, and that kind of gave birth to that.
So your goal or your vision is to support the hotels, right, from the airport, but you didn't start off with the hotels.
Nope, didn't.
So you start off doing like parties.
The very first thing is a party, yep. But then we sit her down, though.
Okay.
So we did that service. I sit her down then for 2 months. And then that's when we really started to dive in on the hotels. We set the date for the same day as the casino. And then from there, we solely focus on the hotel. So we stuck to the dean,
okay.
But, leading up to it, just trying to bring some extra cash.
Right, you had to make it happen.
Yeah.
All right, so when you start positioning yourself to, structure these deals with these hotels, how do you go about that? What are you saying to them? How are you becoming are you an exclusive ride carrier for them? Like, how does that work?
Yep.
Tell me about that.
So originally, it was easy for me to talk to them because I was a general manager. So I knew what
lingo,
what tickled their fancy. Right. And so I could talk to them I could tell them that your company shuttle service, you guys are losing, $60,000 a year on that just because it's sitting there. And then the associate that you're paying to do that. So altogether, that's costing your hotel over $100,000 a year. What kind of return are you getting on that? And they can't give you no answer for that because they're not getting no return on it. And so, I was able to kind of strike up those conversations just as easy as that. And then be able to tell them, but look, with us, we could do more. You're keeping your shuttle within a 3-mile radius. Most hotels, their shuttle only goes to like an airport or within a small radius from the hotel. So with us, we can open your radius up. So now, you could bring your clients even further out. You can contract with organizations and get their employees to and from work. You could get flight crews in. So I just kind of knew different areas that I could kind of go in and talk to them. And so that's why we were able to scale up to working with 50 hotels in less than a year.
Gotcha.
Because I came in, I knew it,
Yeah. So most of these hotels already had a shuttle service in place.
A lot of them do.
But you just found a way to make it more feasible and make
Correct.
it better for them and more profitable for them as
for the company. And like you said, we came in with a different approach. This is a non-exclusive partnership. In which you could still go with any transportation supplier you want to go with, but with us, these are the locked in rates. These are the different areas that we'll service for you. This is what we've been doing for other hotels, and this is what we can do for you. And it kind of started to become more of a quick sale, easy sale, I'll say.
Was there any other competition? I know you said you kind of trailblazed this type of operation, so you guys were doing something that nobody else was doing at the time.
Yeah, they was looking. They was looking. Yeah. They had eyes and ears on. They was looking. Nobody was doing it to that level. Some of the transportation suppliers might talk to 1 or 2 hotels or have a relationship with one hotel. But we were the first one that was knocking on every door. Like, yo, this is how we can help you. This is how we can help you. So there wasn't really any competition in that space. And it's kind of funny now when I look and I see other people doing what we did early on. And honestly, I give people the blueprint. Like, you trying to get into it? Yo, find a hotel you could partner with. That might be your first great opportunity. And this is what you want to tell them. But, and so now I see a lot of people kind of entering or have used that as a way to get into the space locally. And they've been able to grow their business from there. So. Got
you. So when you start doing it, how do you know how to price? Like, how do you know what to charge? How do you know? Talk to me a little bit about that. Did you lose money in the beginning?
Definitely, it was losing money. my whole approach was kind of like, I took it back to what I learned in the streets. And in the streets, I knew if you had a good quality product, but you were able to give it to people for a lower price point, they're going to keep coming to you. Right. And then you can eventually raise your price point up and compete with your competitors.
Okay.
And so that was kind of the same approach we took coming in was, hey, it's a non-exclusive partnership and we're willing to transport your customers for this. And it would be such a low price point. It's like they kind of forced to rock with you because no one else is matching that for their customers.
Right.
And so that was definitely the blueprint to getting us into the space. And then eventually I had to learn, how to properly price stuff out and incorporate in all of your expenses so that way you can turn profit.
Yeah. Do you remember what you were pricing at that time?
Man.
And like, what was the model? Like, was it per
person?
Per person?
Yeah, we were doing per person.
Okay.
So most of the services were like $10. Like that was kind of the sweet spot. Hey, we'll get you to the airport, $10 each way, or we'll get you to this for beer. They have a lot of beer and wine tasting. We'll get you to that $10. So that was kind of the $10 was our sweet point at first to start off.
Gotcha. Regardless of where you're kind of going, because everything's within the same kind of radius for the most part.
Pretty.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're charging this to the rider.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the hotel doesn't have to get involved at all.
All they got to do is direct them, send them in this way.
Okay, got you. So you're doing $10 a ride, and you said obviously there was some mishaps with that kind of pricing, right?
Oh yeah.
So what did you have to do to kind of go in, reconfigure, and then reconstruct your prices?
So that really came down to, I learned that from more partnerships, and also going after bids, like more bid kind of services.
Okay.
Because I learned that you gotta be able to properly price out the service to even go after the bid. Like the bid might be 100,000 or the contract might be 100,000, but you might, and I did this, I tried to kind of be a cheaper option to guarantee a contract. But then as we diving in, I'm like, yo, we like breaking even on this. Like we're doing this for no money really.
Right.
And so that was kind of the aha moment. And I actually partnered and worked with, I paid a consultant to come in and show me how to properly price out stuff. And so that was kind of, I needed that. I needed that. And I think a lot of, especially small businesses, we need that. Like, we don't really always know how to properly price stuff out. And so to have someone who's an expert in that space be able to sit down and guide you through it has definitely been beneficial. And now we really have a good idea of pricing. It's funny, but I had a customer who reached out to us earlier this year, like a couple of weeks ago, and it was a service we did for her 3 years ago. It was a conference, right? Mm-hmm. And so she tells us what she needs. The team gives her a quote, and then she comes back to me and she's like, wow, this is a big difference from what we paid. I pulled it up.
Right.
And she sends me what we charged her, and I'm looking at it like, dang,
wow.
Right. So I had to just tell her, like, prices change, things change, there's shortages, COVID has been crazy, and, but it just showed me how terribly we were pricing stuff out a couple of years ago.
What if you could think of like something that you weren't even considering that may have been like a cost that you wouldn't have considered at first, but then once you looked at really looked at it closely, like you're like, damn, I'm paying this much in that. Like, what were some of those kind of costs?
Insurance was one of the probably one of the biggies, especially as a newer company. Your hands are tied as to what insurance agencies are going to cover you, especially when you're talking passenger transportation. And so it's very limited. Like, honestly, it was like 2 options that you could really go with, and 2, maybe 3 in New York State. And but most of the time you have to kind of go through New York State insurance. So you're going to get hit in the head.
Gotcha.
And I wasn't looking at that $50,000 cost and incorporating that in my service prices.
Right.
And so then you look back at the end of the year and you like, right, like, holy smack, we never accounted for that. And that's what the consultant was kind of showing, like, bro, did you put in for your office space? Like, you got to incorporate you got to know the totality of your bills, as well as how much that service is really going to cost you for you to be able to price it out properly.
Yeah. What about in terms of compliance and getting your company set up? When you first got started, how'd you set the company up? Tell me a little about that.
So I didn't even know the rules of entry when it comes to New York State DOT. So like I said, I had a Sprinter van, which is 11 passenger. With that one was 11 passenger. And I just thought you put it on the road, get you your plates, and you good to go.
Right.
And but I come to find out it's not that simple. Anything with 8 or more passengers in New York State requires DOT inspection. You got to have your MC numbers, your DOT numbers. So I was out there, wow.
You was riding dirty.
Right, definitely riding dirty. But working with DOT, and they roadside inspection. That's where it all started at. They pulled us over on a roadside inspection, going to pick up a hotel group, and they were able to, hey, you don't got this, you don't got that, and they worked with me though. They didn't even hit me in the head. They just told me I had to ground the vehicle, and this is what you got to do, A, B, C, D, and we took every step from there, and but bro, we was riding dirty. Like looking back at it, I'm like, yo, we was bugging.
So you're considered a motor carrier,
correct?
Right. You have like a DOT number and everything and everything like that.
Yep.
All right. So we kind of started there with the first initial shuttles, and for the airports, how many actual vehicles did you scale up to doing that?
Doing just that in the hotel space?
With the hotel space, yeah.
I think 3.
3.
Yeah, I think we got to 3 in that space.
Okay.
When we were just doing that.
Okay. And then at this point is when rideshare comes into play?
No, before rideshare we were at 2.
Okay.
Then post rideshare, by the end of that year, we had scaled up to our 3rd vehicle.
Okay, got you. So you have 3 vehicles now, and for the most part, you're focusing on the airport shuttles and all that, right?
Yep.
That's the main thing.
That's our main thing. Yeah.
All right. So now tell me, rideshare comes, things come to a halt.
Phone stopped ringing.
Everybody's using Uber, Lyft.
New shiny toy. do.
Right. Okay. So what do you do on that for that month or whatever time you're going through this feeling of like, what are we gonna do now?
It was just back to the drawing board. Like I said, it was stay at the hotel, give up on this particular dream, and or double down on it. And so when I decided, let's double down, let's focus on groups, let's get back to the sprinter was a good idea. Let's stay in that arena. That's really when it became sink or swim. And so we started to focus on the groups, but that's, like I said, that's when I was really dedicating more time. I wanted to be a master of my craft. Everything I was reading, everything all the motivational stuff was always telling me, you got to be a master of something if you really want the check. And so, and I wanted to be a master. And to this day, literally to this day, I take 15 minutes every single day to just learn more about transportation. That's how I ran across Safe Bus. Like I just always microtransit. Like I'm always just looking into transportation.
Yeah.
And so wanting to be a master of the craft is, and realizing diving into what the numbers look like for us when it comes to the poverty, that was the eye opener. And that's when I was like, no, like I want to set my intentions on this and being more community focused. So 2019, we on fire. Like we at the peak of what we've done to at that time. 2019. So we run through 2019, great year. Then 2020, our numbers for the first quarter was looking crazy. So I'm like, woo!
Okay.
And then COVID comes.
COVID comes.
And we lose 98% of our business just like that. Everything we had built up just stopped. And so during that time, I had to lay people off, naturally. Transportation, we were deemed an essential service. So me and my COO, Christopher, we just dove in. And when I say we dove in, we was in the lab every day, me and him just trying to figure out how we can help the community. And so, there's people that'll tell you, like my first call was reaching out to, nonprofits and stuff and just asking, how can we help? Like, what's going on right now? Do you guys need delivery? Like, how can we be of service to the community? And in doing so, that really, really, really sped up everything for us because we did all of this stuff for free. And then naturally, all of those relationships started to turn into contracts. Once, things started to smooth back out, these nonprofits started to write us into, their services, their needs in the future. And, our driven to work just caught on fire because then it was a worker shortage. So now organizations are more open to really hearing out our services, which then allowed us to double back and reinvest in the other things that, you know, because we're not a nonprofit. And so we do, everyone always says, are you a nonprofit? Everything you guys seem to do, you should be a nonprofit.
Right.
And I just never liked that because I felt like nonprofits puts us back in the space of asking and begging. And you know what I mean? Like now you always asking someone for money, you trying to fundraise money and no shade or nothing in that space. But as a Black man, I don't want to be asking. Like that's how they always keep us in these bubbles is, you know, be a nonprofit, we'll help you raise some money. No, be a for-profit. Go get the money yourself. And then if you want to start a nonprofit or you want to give back, now that gives you the access to give back and be charitable how you want to be.
Right.
And so, you know, that's literally where we at with it. Like we, you know, I was out, COVID comes, company loses 95% of the business. That's when I start my logistics company.
Okay.
GB
Logistics.
GB Logistics. We lose, like I said, 98% of our business here. I don't know what's really going to happen on this space. I just know let's try to give back. Let's help out. The opportunity came to start my logistics company. I get an email from Amazon out of the blue, and they're like, "Hey, are you interested in you know doing last mile delivery?"
Right.
Right now, definitely. You know what I mean? And so took the time, you know, filled out the app, and lo and behold, they said we want to partner with you. And so so then now I'm feeling good again. Like there's light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, we got a whole new opportunity here. I build this up. And while still realizing, I talked to my mentor and I was like, I think I might have to shut Tech Valley down. And my mentor was like, Trent, if you got the means to support and keep your main thing going, keep your main thing going. He said, you told me that no one's doing what you're doing. You're trailblazing a new path. Why would you give that up? And so he said, I don't care what you got to do to keep them lights on. Do what you got to do. And so, you know, started the logistics company. I went over there for about, you know, I used the first 8 months to build the foundation there, rev it up. And then, like I said, while I'm doing that, at the same time on this side of things, we're getting more contracts from the work that we did during COVID, looking out for people. And I mean, it kind of just, everything just started to trend in a whole different direction. 2021 was like a crazy year. Like everything was just going up.
Yeah. How did you, cause you said when COVID came and you lost 98% of the business and the main business at that time was what?
We were doing the main business,
the main
before
niche.
COVID,
like what was the
it was still really the hotels was a big portion. We were doing some stuff for some charter schools at that time. That was really the weddings, the charter stuff, and then just kind of and we were doing a shuttle with Amtrak. We had a partnership with the local transportation authority and Amtrak, so we were doing a shuttle in partnership with them. Okay. And so I mean, it was we're the capital of New York. Right. So what people don't understand is everything that happens in terms of laws happens here. So we get an abundance of people coming in from all over the state to come to the capital to handle business. And so the shuttle we were doing with Amtrak was supporting that whole industry. Right. And so, and then with the charter schools and then the weddings just stopped, like everything just stopped.
Everything just stopped. Nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's moving. It just stopped. Yep. So when you start doing like the free stuff for everybody, you kind of like look at it, you get creative. You're like, we have these vans, you know, we just sitting on them. How are you supporting that? Like, how are you funding? You still got to pay for fuel. You still got to pay for workers. Like how are you able to do free stuff for people?
Just from the little bit of reserves we had.
Got you. So you actually dipped into your own capital to just get out there and just do community work. Yep. Wow. And then you said you started building relationships in the community from doing all that work, and that turned into.
It was like everyone's calling Trent's helping out. Trent's doing this. He got the vans. They're doing food delivery. They're bringing people to doctor's appointments. Like, call Trent. And that's all you kept hearing. Trent, Tech Valley Shuttle. And I mean, I think everyone could feel that it was genuine. It wasn't like nothing that was forced. By that point, my story had already been out, so people knew I was someone who was formerly incarcerated. I had started this business. So I think the community also was rallying behind, what we had started. And then, I mean, it's just a blessing, man, that all of those things really turned into contracts. sitting on new boards, you know, forming just new relationships. Some of it ain't contracts, but it's still now people in my network who I can contact if I want to ask a question or if I want to partner with their organizations. And it's like the door is wide open for us.
Got you. So those type of contracts or grants, or did you look for any of those, or they all kind of came to you?
Oh, I was looking. I was on the hunt. I was on the hunt. You know, you don't hunt, you don't eat. So I was on the hunt. Right. I was looking for all of those opportunities, grants, you know, even loans. Like if I had to take a loan out, and so you know, we were just like, I was really just buying into what my mentor said. Like, you know, do what you got to do to keep this thing going. Yeah, got you. So at the top of, I want to go back to before, not COVID, before whatchamacallit? What was the other tragedy that happened before COVID? Oh, rideshare. What were you guys doing in revenue then? Do you remember? That was early on. It was first year. I think we did like, it was either 73 or 79,000 we did first year from February to the end of the year. Okay. So that first year, 2017, is when rideshare came. I couldn't really tell you what we're doing before rideshare. I just know that first year we did either like it was somewhere in the 70s in terms of just overall sales. Okay, and then you pivoted into the other space, right? So how big did you grow Tech Valley? Like before it hit? Yep. We were like at $250,000 a year by then. $250,000? And that was only 2-3 years of business. Got you. And how much vehicles did you have at that time? I would say probably around 6. Okay. Yeah, around 6 vehicles. Okay, got you. And you guys are kind of spread out across different niches, but just basically offering whatever the transportation needs are in the area. You guys are pretty much fulfilling everything. Yeah, we'll do it. Call us. Got you. All right. So that brings us to like current day. So current day, what is Tech Valley Shuttle looking like? Man, now we're looking like we're hitting on all cylinders. So we're fully community-based. Our mission is to combat poverty through expanded transportation options for those overlooked, systematically overlooked. Our whole mission, everything we do goes back to that. And so now with our prison shuttles, COVID, that shut that down, but we're bringing it back for Mother's Day. And so we're going to do a nice Mother's Day push behind that. We're going to get right back on that. It's allowed us to expand in the delivery options now. COVID opened that opportunity. So we actually work with one of the biggest hospitals in the area, and we transport food for individuals who have different medical conditions that require special diets. So we transport food for them. We also transport medicine for them when they have like a doctor or a representative that rides with us and they go give it out. So we're helping in that space. We're working with one of the biggest colleges, RPI, and Housing Authority at this point. And we're doing our food shuttle for the food insecure areas. And ultimately we're getting the county to offset the expenses, and I'm trying to actually now dive into the actual grocery markets and see if they will actually pay for the riders to come on a weekly basis. So now hopefully making this whole service absolutely free for the riders, but now they're able to get healthy food options and more affordable food options. Because you go to the corner store, you buy 6 items, it's $13. Those same items you go to your grocery store, $7. So, like really trying to help in that space. And then our Driven to Work program, which is our catalyst at this point. We work with the biggest FedEx, UPS. We've done stuff for Great Escape, Starbucks. I mean, we could go down the list of the agencies we worked with, as well as the municipalities in the area. We do a summer youth transportation. We just got Albany County involved with that. We got a huge announcement coming with the airport soon. I can't even really say it yet, but it's big. It's big, okay. And so, we're dedicated, man. We doubled down into to our mission. Everyone here has set their intentions. We know exactly what we want to do. We know exactly where we are. We know what we represent, and we know who we represent for. And
Yeah.
so, we're locked in right now.
How do you manage all these different customers in all these different spaces? Because like you're doing, I mean, a lot of, typically you deal with one type of customer.
Right.
You have a lot of different types of customers. You got schools, you got this, you got airports, they're all over the place.
Right.
Like who is keeping track of all of those different customer needs, because they all have a different set of needs?
It's a group effort. And, so one thing, every Friday, everyone on my team, we do a training day. And so like those on the team who are involved in customer service, they get beat in the head with different customer service trainings. The goal is Karen, our office, she actually won a customer service award. The goal, the general concept for us is she's usually the first person that a customer gets in touch with. So right from the jip, she's delivering great customer service, timely with her responses, cheerful on the phone.
Right.
We talk with a smile over here. And then from there, though, every single person they touch should be a reflection of great customer service. So then the drivers on the team understand that they need to be timely because this individual has somewhere they need to go. We're a contracted obligation to be there at a set time. And so then they understand customer service. So it's a team effort. Our leadership team has been, my secret sauce. You can't scale and grow without a great team. And I've been fortunate enough to really been able to identify some good people who want to grow and get better. And, I invest in my team. So I invest in them, what their goals are inside of work, but I also invest in their goals and what they want outside of work. And I find that in doing so, I get even more of a buy-in because they know I really care about them. And so then they start to really care about me and my business the same way. And then it becomes a we. And that's all I'm usually saying is we, because I realize none of this happens without a team.
Right. Do you have like a sales team, like people who are going out constantly looking for different sales opportunities?
Yep. So we got sales team. We have our fleet manager. We have our COO. We have our office assistant. And then we have our dispatch. So those are like the 5 pillars of the leadership on this side. GB Logistics has a leadership team too. We have our fleet manager, we have our dispatcher, we have our general manager, and we have our trainer, and we have our if I didn't say fleet manager. So
okay.
And so we have an organizational chart. Everyone understands where they are. Oh, we got HR person too who covers both. But and so ultimately I just really work with my leadership team. I've set my intention this year. I used to mentor a lot of people on Fridays, but I don't do that anymore. Now I dedicate that team to my leadership team so I could work with them, mentor them, be in that space with them. My whole goal is I want them to be the best versions of them inside and outside of work. And then I know in doing so, when they're here, they're rock stars.
Got you. Now, GB Logistics, that's through Amazon, right? DSP program.
Yep.
Does that business ever really intersect with Tech Valley Shuttle? Or is it kind of like a separate thing?
It's totally separate. I keep them totally separate. Two different worlds. The one thing that's the same though is we're charitable in that space too. On Sundays we do not every Sunday, but next Sunday we're doing a charitable event for the Boys and Girls Club. We were doing something for the Greater Food of the Capital Region last week, I think it was, or 2 weeks ago. So we're constantly giving back in that space too. That's one thing I think is gonna always be a reflection of anything that I touch is the give back.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's totally different entity, totally different leadership teams, totally different staff. Over there, in total, we have, in our peak season, we were up to 86 different people on my team over there.
Okay.
Over here, our max, I think, has been 20 people. So, it's definitely a lot larger. Over there, we have 24 trucks. I have, I want to say 16 small box trucks, 16 footers, and then the rest are 26-foot box trucks. So, that space is just bigger in everything we do. But which has allowed me to become a better leader, as well as what I tell people all the time is it's a paid internship in a lot of ways. I get the opportunity to get paid to get into the logistics field, to learn how to manage larger teams. So,
right.
Everything I always look at as an opportunity, and that just became a great opportunity, which helped me to continue to grow vertically in the transportation space, because being a master of the field, I want to learn every aspect of transportation.
Yeah, can you just explain like just kind of like what the DSP program is for
Definitely.
people who just want to, you know, are interested in it through Amazon?
And it's something I recommend to people all the time. So basically it's called a delivery service partnership, and you have to be accepted, but they have it also UPS, FedEx does it. You could buy routes through FedEx, do the same thing, but basically it's a last mile delivery service, meaning we are the last point of transfer for items. And so it might have came over on a bus, it might have got airlift, and it might have got put to a distribution center, but once it gets to us, we're the last mile to get it to the final destination.
Okay.
Very smooth service, and something that I definitely recommend to people. It definitely gives you the opportunity to really grow into a leader. And that's what I really enjoy from it the most, is growing into a better leader, which has been a great saving grace in Tech Valley as well, because the better leader I am overall, I just bring so much more to the table for my teams.
And you said you've been doing that for a year now?
2 years.
2 years? And you said you've grown to how big?
20, I think it's 24 vehicles and 86 people at one time on the team.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge working with Amazon?
The biggest challenge, just being transparent, is I gotta listen to somebody. You know what I mean? Like
right.
That's legit.
Right.
It.
You gotta report to somebody.
I gotta report to someone.
Yeah.
And, and Tech Valley, I don't gotta ask, yo, I want to start a new service. Yeah, we could start it. And, we dive in. Amazon not like they're gonna say, hey, deliver these new packages. You know what I mean? Like I can't just build that. And so that's also been humbling, and it's also been it's also allowed me to learn to accept that. Like, I can't control everything. You know, and I'm learning to let go, and what they say, let go and let God. That's what they used to say locked up.
Right.
Like I'm learning now. I've learned how to let go, because at first it was a challenge for me. Like if I'm one of those people, like, if something's not right, if I feel you did someone on my team wrong or something like that, like I'm gonna fight tooth and nail for my team. And not being able to control certain situations, that was the hardest part. But I've learned that, at the end of the day, I have a contractual obligation that I said I was gonna do, and that's what we're gonna do. And if we gotta jump through a couple of holes and to make it work, that's what we're gonna do. But we're gonna follow Amazon's lead. And even on that side, our number one mission, very simply put, is to be the number one DSP in the world.
Got you. What have you learned from working with Amazon DSP that you've incorporated into Tech Valley?
Man, so much. I couldn't even, I'd be lying. Something as simple as just putting, cameras in your vehicle and investing in stuff that, really let you see the metrics, harsh brakes, hard turns, speeding, and so like over here, we created a whole bonus program around that, just because these are metrics that we're now keeping track of. Before, I wasn't so much into that. It was more so, let's just get these services in.
Right.
But, learning the importance of why safety is so important, why they move a certain way. And then the big thing I've learned too is strategic. Like, I've seen them roll certain things out and it doesn't work, and they pull it quick, and then that was the end of it. But then I also see them talking about things for some time and strategically aligning everything up to roll it out, and then it happens. And so I think a lot of small business is when they start up, we feel we just gotta go. And that used to be me. Here, they used to call me the shooter, because they would just say, point them in a direction and let them go.
Right.
But now I'm learning, that's not really it, bro. Like, where it's really at is measuring twice, so you only got to cut once. Like, let's do all our due diligence up front, and then we will see the results that we really want to see on the back end. And so just it's allowed me to be way more strategic in all of my approaches, take way more time to plan stuff out and just do it the proper way, Like, even with the airport shuttle, the old me, I would have told everyone all about it and went around it the wrong way. But now taking a little bit more time, I've been able to get key players in who are now even interested in funding the program, like things that I wouldn't have thought of before. I would have just did it. Like, honestly, I would have just did it.
Right.
But now I'm learning, nah, bro, pump the brakes, man. Plan this out. See who you could pull in, who's willing to help. Like, utilize all your resources because you didn't build all of this up just to do it yourself. Like, now tag people in and utilize your notoriety. Once I got mentioned in Forbes, it was like, you know, I was an honoree last year for Forbes Next 1,000 Entrepreneurs in the World. Man, that little tag done opened up so many doors for me, and you know, now I call a meeting and it's, oh yeah, not a problem, Trent. You know, I've been waiting for this call. You know,
right.
And so, you know, I'm learning to really leverage all of those things, and also, you know, strategically continue to partner with people who in organizations and brands that will elevate you can learn from, and you know, and align yourself with. And so, you know, that's kind of where we're at today. What I've been able to build all together, you know, we got a fleet of well over 40 vehicles. You know, I'm somebody that was released from prison, you know, in 2007, had my little run in again in I think 2008, 2009, and since 2010, I haven't looked back. And, you know, it's only been 12 years, and to go from a felon to Forbes within 12 years in a society that they know, you know, historically is super tough for us.
Yeah.
Man, I just feel like sky's the limit. I don't feel like, I know sky's the limit. I know everything is obtainable. I know if you set your intentions and you're willing to put in the work, I know you could make it happen. And I just know that I haven't even scratched the surface yet. Like, this is, to me, just the beginning. Like, I'm really excited for what's yet to come.
Yeah. What's more important for you, the revenue or the impact?
I would say impact, only because revenue is great and, you know, we need money to live, but who's to say like a service that we do today won't change a kid's life? Like, if we could skip a kid by our transportation, if we could get a kid to a charter school or a private school, and that kid doesn't have to go through the prison and experiences I did, and that kid goes on to then, who knows, do some amazing stuff in our area or even in the world, that's more impactful. So, you know, I would say the impact, the lives we touch, even on my goals list every year, the amount of lives that I want to touch increases all of the time. I do have monetary goals too, but you know, that, like, at this point, I know I'm gonna figure out how to make money.
Yeah.
More importantly now at this point is figuring out how do we continue to help other people's lives. So yeah, definitely the impact.
If there was someone watching now and they were interested in getting into the shuttle space in their community, what would you advise them to do? What should be the first steps that they should take?
The very first step, I think, is first to figure out how some business that you can align yourself with. Because I've learned that when we were early on and we were chasing the next ride, it's hard to really scale. But when you get a contract in place and you have guaranteed money coming in, you can work off of that. Now you have budgets. Now you know how much money you're bringing in, what you can afford, as well as you can stack contracts. So, you know, one for 10,000, 10. Now you got 100,000. But the individual riders, that's hard to stack. And you never know where it's coming from. You're always chasing. And so I would say try to align yourself. I would say you could follow the blueprint. It's been given. Like, go start talking to a local hotel. Ask them, you know, how's their transportation? But I think anyone who's starting up, branding yourself with another branded organization, only elevate your company that much quicker. And like I said, if you can get a contract in place, now you can really stack that and kind of go from there. So I would say start with that. Also, just start with understanding your area, you know, what your need is. Maybe you're in New York, so it's not New York City where it's not as much of a need. But if you're in a rural area, you know, that shuttle service might be ideal. So I think, you know, really understanding the makeup of your land, also understanding what the need is. Because what is business?
Right.
Solving a need.
Problem.
You know, solving a problem. And so if that's not a problem in your area, it's not going to work.
Yeah, yeah. So when you say like contracts, stacking contracts, like how does that work? Because a lot of people will say like, I got $100,000 contract for this or that. Like what does that really mean? Like when you say you have a dollar amount on a contract.
So that ultimately means for the life of that service, that's the end goal or the end amount that you're gonna bring in from performing your job or your duties.
Okay.
And so if we say, you got $100,000 contract, that means that you through the life of that contract, it might be a year that, on a monthly or a weekly, however you got it worked out, it's gonna add up to that amount.
So is that typically how they'll do it though? Will it be like an annual type of contract or a lot of times? Or?
Most of them are gonna be annual contracts, yeah.
Okay.
Only things that really aren't are like wedding services, because that's like a spinoff once in a while. Even employment agencies, a lot of times they'll sign up for at least a year contract service. You might have to start them off as a pilot program, a 90-day, but then once you got them, then it's usually about a year.
And that'll be like you're taking like the workers to work?
Correct.
Okay, got you. All right, so what we talked about measuring twice, cutting once. What are you measuring twice right now to cut once?
My opportunities. With anything, with any time in life, once you reach certain, goals, you look around and then there's going to be new opportunities that you never even seen coming. And so ultimately right now, I'm just looking around at the opportunities that are coming to me. I'm having opportunities to buy other transportation companies. We're having opportunities to partner with, like we said, airports in the cities in certain levels. So as well as looking for bigger contracts, I'm even looking at some contracts that are in the Caribbean to bring our services out there. So, there's so many opportunities. And so right now it's really me sitting back and identifying what's the best opportunity for me right now. Like, I don't want to bombard myself and try everything with the new shiny objects. It's really what supports our mission, what allows us to continue to grow vertically, and then let's attack that.
Right. And you want to stay in the transportation kind of space
yes.
of people,
yes,
right?
Yes.
To an extent.
Correct.
Because like a lot of
or logistics. I still do logistics too
as well.
Yeah.
But I know like you were speaking earlier, like a lot of those, like you want to service a lot of people. You
That's
know
the
what I
goal.
mean?
Nah, that's the goal.
So transportation deserts and stuff like that.
Correct.
All right, dope, man, dope. So I think we kind of covered everything. We gotta definitely get your final thought. That's customary on the show. That could be whether it's entrepreneurial, spiritual, whatever. And then we gotta let people know where they can connect with you, man, and learn more about Tech Valley. Matter of fact, what made you name it Tech Valley Shuttle? What's Tech Valley about?
This area was becoming a tech area.
Okay.
So one of the names is Capital Region, Capital District, but Tech Valley was one of the newer names that it was coming to be.
Okay.
And so I thought it was something that still represents our area, Tech Valley. But I also thought it was something that no matter what, we could take it on the road with us.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Is that in the plans too? Maybe
definitely. 100%.
Franchising or doing this somewhere else in another area?
We looking at a couple markets. We're looking in Charlotte. We're looking in Rhode Island. We're looking in Orlando. We're looking in Texas right now, as well as Ohio. So there's definitely some expansion plans in the near future from in terms of bringing this into a new market. And so
because I mean, like a lot of the hotels are kind of connected too, right? Like the Hiltons they're everywhere. Own a bunch of hotels. So
correct.
I mean, it's just a matter of kind of connecting those dots, right?
And that's it. And I already know the services we provide. I kind of know. I got the blueprint.
Yeah.
So I know I've been able to do it here. I can easily do it in another area. I'm actually actively looking to purchase some struggling transportation companies in different markets to do just that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so let's I'm just, I just thought about that real quick. All right, so let's get to that final thought, man. Get the people not that you haven't been all show, but final word of wisdom or guidance, or just whatever comes to mind, and then let people know where they can connect with you, man, the best place on social media and so forth.
Gotcha. Final thought. I would say, trucking and hustle. So I would say, I think transportation as a whole is a great industry for us to get into. I think transportation, for me, it's opened up so many new avenues, and I think it could do that for so many others. I think that for any new entrepreneurs out there, just know all things are possible. Like, you hearing this interview, know that I was somebody who was a felon. I was told I wouldn't be nothing. I was told I would just be going back and forth to prison my whole life. And statistically, that's where I should be. But I understand the power that we all have inside of us. I believe we were all born and given some special talents, and it's about really cultivating those talents, identifying needs, and being willing to work. And I think if you do those three things, man, sky is literally the limit. Everything is obtainable, and it's out here for us to get it. So let's turn up and let's get it.
No doubt, I love that. And where can the people learn more, connect with you personally, and then also learn more about Tech Valley Shuttle and GB Logistics?
You could definitely check us out. Check me out personally on LinkedIn. My name is Trent Griffin-Braaf, Braaf. And so you can check me out there. You can find us online at Tech Valley Shuttle. That's our handles on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and you could Google it too. We out there. We out here.
We out here. Google me, baby. Google me, baby. All right, man. If you can't respect that, your whole perspective is whack. You know that's Hove. Listen, Hustle fam, you know what we do around this time. If you smell something burning, it's only your desire. Me, Trent, Tech Valley Shuttle, we out.
If you twisted, confused, or stuck about trucks, don't be dumb. This is the place to come. Truck and hustle. Let's go.